Morning, Alex. It is Wednesday. Luckily, my magazine writing class today was canceled because today we were supposed to have the two magazines we were planning on writing for picked out. And as you can see by this giant pile of magazines that I have purchased, I still have no idea what I'm going to write for. I went to several stores to try and look at magazines. For some reason, the bookstore on campus doesn't sell magazines because they're a bookstore who doesn't sell magazines. But that's fine. So I checked out, we have a co-op who's all into like green things and environmental consciousness, as well as like Buddhism and spirituality and things like that, which are not magazines that I'd write for because I really don't know anything about Buddhism, but that's not the point. So I went there to check out some environmental magazines, and then I went to one of the bookstores that's not on campus, and they had several magazines. So I sort of just looked for anything that sort of jumped out at me as far as being either about bicycles or about green whatever. Now, for the record, there are a lot of magazines out there, not specifically on environmental stuff. Those magazines were not as prevalent as maybe gun magazines or car magazines or magazines about how to please your man, which I don't know how to please my man because I don't have a man. So I ended up getting Earth First, which actually is all about ecological resistance. I should have realized it because it says the Journal of Ecological Resistance on the cover. But basically, the entire magazine is people talking about how they are sabotaging things and like tree sitting, and how civil disobedience is the first step towards anarchy, and how we need to like overthrow the proletariat, as it were. So I'm not going to be writing for them because I have never had that kind of disobedience to where I would end up in jail. So that's just not, that one's not going to work. Bicycle Times. This is actually one that I'm considering writing for just because, it's about biking and it's about bike touring. And I have some experience bike touring. There was that one time I tried to ride my bike across the United States. Yeah, you remember that. And I failed miserably. So anyways, at least I have some knowledge about riding bikes. The problem is that most of this is, it's about bicycle touring, like people telling the stories of their tour and different places that they have gone. And I don't really have a whole lot of experience touring and going places that I could write about. So I'm not entirely sure how that one's going to work. There's another magazine entitled Bicycle, which is also about road biking and bicycle touring. But that also has a lot of things in it as far as like healthy eating and healthy living. So I was contemplating maybe writing for that one as well. I don't have a copy of that one here, so I'd have to pick that one up. But in that one I could write something about, living with a bicycle and just having fun with it. We need to have environmentally friendly and healthy things be fun again. Which is why I ride a telebike, because, it's fun. It's fun to be whimsical and to be like 6 feet above everybody else and still get the exercise of riding a bicycle, sometimes more so because I only have one gear and you catch all of the wind. Let's see what else I've got here. I've got On Earth, whose title article is Too Much Pig, which is fantastic. This one discusses a lot of different green issues going on, so obviously Too Much Pig has to do with factory farming and the fact that CAFOs, or concentrated animal feed operations, basically make giant cesspools of animal manure, which is just so concentrated that you really can't use it for much, and when you do spray fields, it tends to run off into the water. So this one I may be able to write for as well. I'm not entirely sure what I would talk about. I was considering maybe nuclear energy and how nuclear energy is not a renewable resource, and how nuclear energy does have a lot of the issues associated with coal. Maybe at the far end, when they're actually producing the energy, there's not as much exhaust, but the fact is you still have to mine that stuff, and it's bad for you to mine that stuff. Let's see, Earth Island Journal, the comeback cat, cougars are on the move and facing new threats. So this is another, obviously, environmental journal talking about climate change and the green movement in Greece and Japan, and helping future leaders, and coffee, and bicycles. So this one also has some promise to it. I still need to figure out what I'd write about because I don't know if the nuclear energy would work as well for this one. But maybe it would. So that's something I'm going to have to read and figure out if that's what I'm going to write for. And then, of course, there's E, the environmental magazine. This one is probably at the top of my pile as well, just because it has like eco laundry tips, and it has different things about environmental impacts of ivory poaching and energy. So this one has a lot of promise as far as maybe discussing nuclear energy or something along those lines. So I think at this point I'm looking at like bicycle, E, maybe the on Earth, and I'll have to do some research on those. But I think that's what I'm going for. I'm gonna get back to writing my papers because a lot of stuff sort of fell on me at once, and I forgot to keep up, and so I'm working on it. But I'll see you tomorrow.